So there's this old practice from a long time ago. And I want you to try and picture in your head, if you will, what I'm describing. You take a big black cauldron. You add body parts from dead animals. You add specific oils and herbs and plants. And you bring it together by heating it up until it's bubbling and boiling. The resulting solution is then ingested by the target of whoever created this potion. Now, if you will, what would you call the person who created that? A witch. Now, same process with a little different spin on it. You take a pot. You brown a 1-to-1 mixture of oil and flour until you get it the color you want. You dice up onions, celery, bell pepper. You add those veggies to the pot of roux and cook until tender. If you put tomatoes in it, that's a witch. I'm sorry, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That was the thing I shouldn't have said, my bad. You can put tomatoes in your gumbo, just don't put it in mine. Then add garlic and seasonings, along with chicken broth and water, and bring that to a boil. Add chicken, sausage, and any other protein. My personal favorite is turkey neck. Let simmer 2 to 4 hours and serve this gumbo over rice to someone you love. Now we call that a chef. That's a mama. That's somebody who can cook for me any day of the week. You see, the process was the same. The ingredients are even similar, if not the same. The difference in the outcome depends on the purpose in which it was all put together. Does that make sense? Dead animals, plants, oils, herbs. Man, that's a gumbo. Now I know what you're thinking. Pastor Jay, are you saying making soups is witchcraft? Nope. That's not what I'm saying, but what I will say is that I used to be a skinny man. And then Mama Godo taught me how to make her gumbo. And presto changeo, almost as if by magic, I am now the full body hunk you see here before you today. And I will tell you, this ain't no dad bod. This is a father figure. Years of work into creating this masterpiece. So we're all right, I can tell I'm talking to the right crew this morning. I'm very happy about that. We're in the summer series. Now that's interesting. Now isn't that interesting? And being the full father-figured man that I am, I chose a topic about food. Specifically bread. Where's my bread people at? Where's my sourdough? I love it. Oh my gosh. I'm going home today to bake another one. Bruh, sourdough was 2020 like wrapped up, right? COVID, you in your house, you bake sourdough. I don't know. Somebody online said Texas Roadhouse rolls. It's a miracle. I don't know what they're doing back there. Might be witchcraft. I don't know. They say money doesn't buy happiness. It buys Texas Roadhouse rolls. And I ain't never been sad eating one of them. You know what I'm talking about? I'm telling you. How many of you guys have baked your own bread before? Anybody ever baked your own bread? You know the recipe? Look, I'm going to put the recipe up here for simple sandwich bread. Just simple sandwich bread. It takes flour, yeast, and water. You can make bread with that. You can throw some salt in there if you want. If you want it to taste better, you throw a little salt in there. That will make bread. Today, we're going to be talking about a specific type of bread called Ezekiel bread. Let's look at that recipe up there. That's a lot more ingredients. More on that to come. Back in the day, I'm going to give you a little backstory of Ezekiel so you can kind of understand where we're at and why Ezekiel had to do what he had to do. Israel was in trouble, like big time trouble. Just in chapter 2 of Ezekiel alone, the book of Ezekiel, Israel was called a rebellious people 6 times, just in chapter 2 alone. 3 more times in chapter 3. They were also called obstinate, stubborn, and hardened. This is the way God described his own people. Now I can tell you they were in trouble. They were living all kinds of sinful lives. They were doing all the things they shouldn't have been doing. They were making sacrifices to other gods. And how my sister Tiffany Montgomery says, little g. Little g gods. The people of God were making sacrifices to false gods, sometimes even sacrificing their own children. This is how far gone God's people were. And Ezekiel is commanded, when he's commissioned to become a prophet, he's commanded to become a watchman over Israel. And as part of his duties, he's commanded to lay on his left side for 390 days and then flip over and lay on his right side for 40 days. Now, my wife's the only one that will notice in this room, but I flip-flop left to right within 5 minutes. I can't spend that much time. He said 390 days on one side. And there's a whole nother very interesting message in here that I could have gone that direction with as to why and the other things that Ezekiel had to do. But quite frankly, I don't have that long to preach this morning, so we're going to skip some of those details. But if you want to do a deep dive into an interesting story, read Ezekiel. It's one of the least preached about books because it's all about God like punishing Israel for their wrongdoings and stuff, so it's not fun to preach from. Fortunately for you, I ain't scared of it. So we're going to preach about it a little bit this morning. And we pick up the story after God commands Ezekiel to lay on his side. In chapter 4, verse 9, it says this: "Take wheat and barley, beans and lentils, millet and spelt, put them in a storage jar and use them to make bread for yourself. You are to eat it during the 390 days you lie on your side. Weigh out 20 shekels of food to eat each day and eat it at set times. Also measure out 1/6 of a hin of water and drink it at set times." Now, 20 shekels of bread is about 5 to 7 slices. And we're not talking Texas toast. We're talking regular slices of bread. 1/6 of a hin is about 8 ounces. So you've got 5 slices of bread and you've got 8 ounces of water a day. Eat the food as you would a loaf of barley bread. Bake it in the sight of the people using human excrement for fuel. That's interesting, yes. Excrement is poop. Fecal matter. Yeah. It's what bread turns into, as a matter of fact. I'm sorry. Too far. It's the line. I crossed over it. My bad. It's interesting. The Lord said, "In this way, the people of Israel will eat defiled food among the nations where I will drive them." Then I said, "Not so, sovereign Lord." In other words, he said, "Ugh. I have never defiled myself. From my youth until now, I have never eaten anything found dead or torn by wild animals. No impure meat has ever entered my mouth." "Very well," God said. "I will let you bake your bread over cow dung instead of human excrement." I guess that's better? I mean, I don't know. He then said to me, "Son of man, I am about to cut off the food supply in Jerusalem. The people will eat rationed food in anxiety and drink rationed water in despair, for food and water will be scarce. They will be appalled at the sight of each other and will waste away because of their sin." Now, Ezekiel was a prophet, and he was given strict instructions to what he was supposed to eat: a bread made from this specific list of ingredients. That one. That's what he had to do. What was so special about this recipe? Why would God make it so specific in this way? Why is God requiring something so gross to bake the bread over human poop, and then the compromise is cow poop? Like, why? What's the purpose? The answer to this question goes a little bit deeper than, again, I'm able to go this morning. But I do want to kind of give you a little bit of detail because it matters. God was foreshadowing the coming siege of Jerusalem and the temple of God. Israel would be attacked by Babylon. This is the third great war that Babylon would attack them with, and they would put their city under siege, which means that their enemy, Babylon, would cut off all food supply, water supply, everything going into the city, coming out of the city would stop. They surround the city and they stop you from being able to do anything. And for a little while, that's okay. You've got your farmlands, you've got your cattle, you've got food stored up, but after a while, you burn through it pretty quick, especially if I live with you. You do. You have teenage boys, anybody? Yeah. That cereal, I just bought it yesterday. Why is it gone? You eat through all of that, and what's left is very little. But it's not just the food that's what's left that is very little. It's the way that you cook the food. You see, you have straw, you have wood. You could even tear down your house if you needed more wood. But eventually, all of that goes away. And you're left with very few choices as to what you can use to burn the fire to bake the last bit of grain you have into a bread. If you go back and you look at history and you do the deep dive that I'm telling you to do in Ezekiel, you will know that that happened when Babylon took siege of Jerusalem. They had to go to the waste of their animals to get fuel just to bake the bread and cook the food so that they didn't die. Listen, I should have put a number 4. I'm going to sweat a lot because worship was hot. How many of you guys appreciate worship team? I do. And not just because I'm on it, but because I think they rock. And as a matter of fact, to this day, in the Middle East, a very popular fuel source is still camel dung because it's so readily available, however gross it is. It's still used today. But in a siege, your animals will die or you will eat them. And so the only thing left is poop. Your own poop. And so God wasn't just being gross. You understand? Ezekiel was a prophet, and God was fulfilling a prophecy. He was trying to warn his people, this is what's coming. Do you understand? Because I don't want you to have this idea that God is just being gross. He's not. He's actually being very, very intentional. It just happens to be gross. So in verse 14, Ezekiel pleaded with God and, basically said, man, God, that's nasty. And the bottom line is that, yes, it was undesirable, but even more so, it was a defilement to Ezekiel to eat bread cooked in his own excrement and his own poop. And God showed mercy on Ezekiel by saying you don't have to use your own, but it was still the completion of the prophecy of what Israel would be going through. So that's the story. And that's kind of where we're going to stop. And we're going to dig in to this recipe for Ezekiel bread. Now, I'd love to tell you that's the last time we're going to talk about poop, but it's not. So go ahead and put the recipe up there alongside the simple bread. This is the difference between regular bread and Ezekiel bread. 3 to 4 ingredients versus 13. Grains we have wheat. Over here, we have wheat, barley, spelt, and millet. And then we have beans added to it, lentils, northern bean, kidney beans, pinto beans. That's a lot of ingredients for one flour to make bread. But here's the bottom line, and here's the distinction we're going to make, is that simple bread, like a sandwich bread, Wonder Bread, Evangeline made, cannot sustain you. It can't. Not even whole wheat bread. It can't sustain you. You cannot eat just bread and be able to live. Now, again, I did some research on this. I said, what happens when you eat white bread for 390 days? Can you live off of bread alone? Here's what happens. Your bones get weakened from vitamin D deficiency. You will begin to see wounds open up. Past wounds that you thought had healed would open up because of scurvy. I thought that was a pirate disease. I didn't even know that was a thing. If you eat bread for 390 days, you'll be in the scurvy. Like, am I the only one that thought that was a pirate thing? I really did. I did not know that that was like real. I thought it was Hollywood created. But it would cause you to just break out in random sores. Old wounds that you thought had healed would reopen. And they won't heal again. You'd have anemia from a lack of iron and folates and B12. Your vision would begin to fail. And you'd have nerve damage if all you ate was just white bread for a year. Now, what if you ate just beans? I mean, that's got protein in it, right? That's a lot better. Well, let's see. On the flip side, if all you ate was beans, my brother already said it, you would be gassy. But it goes beyond that to cramping and bloating. You would have, and I thought this was interesting, you would be constipated and riddled with diarrhea at the same time. I don't even know how that works, and I don't want to. And while beans are rich in nutrients, your body cannot absorb them without other things present in your diet. And as a matter of fact, if you don't have the other things present in your diet, the beans will stop your body from being able to absorb nutrients. I thought that was interesting. It can even create skin rashes and lesions on your skin just from eating beans all of a sudden. So let me get this straight. You eat bread for 390 days, you die. You eat beans for 390 days, you probably wish you're dead, or you die, or your wife wishes you're dead. But Ezekiel was told to put them together and then eat nothing but that for 390 days. Because something happens. Now, we know this today because of the advancement of science and research. But back then, the only thing Ezekiel had was the word of the Lord. When you grind up these beans, when you grind up these grains, and you put them together into one flour, and you make a bread out of them, chemically, something takes place in the process, and where you would have carbs on one side, proteins and fats on the other, they come together to form a complete protein. And what a complete protein is it has all of the appropriate amino acids, nutrients, vitamins, minerals, carbs, fats, and proteins that you need to survive in one bread. Where if you ate the ingredients separate, you would die. But when you put it together, how many of you guys can already see where this message is going a little bit? Is that not interesting? And for those that said, I don't know where this is going yet, it's probably not interesting yet. Stick around for the second part of the poop. It gets better. Ezekiel bread today is championed as a healthy option, it's a superfood. It's for this reason, it's considered super healthy. It's also very expensive. I even talked to my sister, P. Nikki, about doing hey, man, it would be cool if we could give people a little piece of Ezekiel bread. I even thought we could make it spiritual and do communion with Ezekiel bread. We would have to take up another offering. We'd have to pass the buckets. It's so expensive. And I told my sister, I said, you know what? It's really not necessary for this message. They'll understand. They got it. But in the context that Ezekiel used it, because it was a foreshadowing of what Israel was about to go through, this was not an expensive option. This was not for the rich. This was not for those the only ones that could afford it. This was not considered and championed bread. This was a sign of the drought, of the famine, of the poverty that Israel was about to experience. This was not about being able to indulge in a healthier choice and do what's right. This was about survival. This was about making it to the end. And that's it. 5 slices of bread a day. That's like a sandwich, but the middle thing is bread. There was no dad bod or father figure to be had for Ezekiel. This dude would have wasted away to nothing. Then just to be able to break the bread, just to be able to survive, Ezekiel and soon Israel would have to cook it using poop. And it almost had to be his own poop. Now, y'all keep an eye on my wife because I think this is the one. But I've used the restroom after some of y'all. And let me just say, some of y'all bread wouldn't sustain no life at all. I'm telling you, not the ladies. Let's be fair, y'all don't poop, you fluff. Y'all's poopy bread would be considered, something like a fluffy pita bread. Smells like lavender. It's topped with sesame seeds. It'd be eaten with just a dash of olive oil and balsamic vinegar on a vineyard in Italy. Come on, somebody. Meanwhile, Ezekiel is probably like some of us men out there where it would have ended up looking like a Mexican cornbread with all the bits in it. All them pieces. Like, dang, Ezekiel, you chew your food or no? Yeah, that's probably the thing I shouldn't have said. I need to stop before my wife pulls me off stage. She knows I'm way too immature to be talking about poop this long. So I'm cutting up, but this is so powerful to me. Because how many of y'all know that in this life, you're going to have to endure the poopy situations? And I would use other words, but I told Pastor Bobby I wanted y'all to think I was holy. And that's hard to do when you're talking about poop. But there are things that we're going to have to endure in this life. Now listen, there are things you've got to work hard for and endure to thrive in life, but sometimes you find yourself having to endure things just to hold on, just to survive. Has anybody been there? You don't have to wave your hand for this if you're there right now. But God said, oh, you better listen to this. God says this morning, and I'm going to read it so I don't get it wrong, that he isn't going to let those bad, poopy situations be the end of you. Instead, he's going to flip it and use it as the fuel for the fire that is going to burn hot and bright in your life. What you count a struggle is going to become your blessing. How many guys have had struggle meals in the past? To this day, ain't nothing hit harder than a fried bologna sandwich. Ruth's Chris, eat your heart out. If you grew up eating a hot dog on Wonder Bread, now listen, I'm talking about like hot dogs. I ain't talking about Vienna sausage. That's a different level. Y'all nasty. But I'm telling you, mark my words. Matter of fact, don't mark my words. Mark his words. You ready? He's going to take every situation that you want to curse right now in your life and flip it to a blessing. Genesis chapter 50. This is Joseph after being left for dead by his brothers. And then when he didn't die, they sold him into slavery. This was a really poopy situation. Genesis 50, chapter 20, this is Joseph talking back to his brothers. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for my good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Don't mark my words, mark his words. Romans 8:28, you know the scripture, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Have you been called according to his purpose today? Let me help you answer that question. If your booty's in a seat this morning, you've been called to a purpose. Thank you very much. And the Bible says in Romans that we know God works all things for the good. Even those poopy situations. I really just want to say it this morning. But I need people to come back to church next week because I'm not the one preaching. Here we are. Don't say it. Thank you. Thank you. Because I got people over here saying it, and I think that's where the youth sits. So Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17. You know this one. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. Don't take my word, take his word. Take his word. I'm about to make it plain. God is putting together a list of ingredients for your life that you may not even think makes sense. I'm a child of God. Why am I eating this struggle bus meal of a life? You better stop and listen. I told you I'd cry. I was so close. I think about my struggle bus meal of a life sometimes and the things that I've had to endure through. And I have asked God the questions. Why would you make me go through this when all I've ever wanted to do was serve you? All I've ever done is given you my absolute best. Why is it the ones that don't follow you that are living the life I want to live? Come on, somebody else asked that question in here. I'm not the only one, I know it. Because you laughed at my jokes earlier, you got to cry with me now. God is putting together a list of ingredients for your life that just don't make sense. But bake the bread. Put them together and bake the bread. In the end, it's going to be the bread of life that sustains you and gives you everything that you need, not just to survive, but to thrive as well. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you. For I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future. Yeah, but God, you told me to eat a bread that if I ate all the grains, it would kill me. I know the plans I have for you. Yeah, but you told me to eat beans that if I eat all that, my wife's gonna leave me because of stink. I know the plans I have for you. Yeah, but you told me to cook it over poop, dog. Like, come on. I know the plans that I have for you, and they are plans to prosper you, whether you believe it or not. Whether you believe it or not. Whether you can see the bread baked at the end or not, it doesn't matter. They're not your plans. God said, I know my plans, and they are to prosper you. They are to give you hope and a future. And you have to decide today, much like Ezekiel did back then, that you were going to trust the Lord and his plan and his process. And his poop. I'm gonna need you to come up here and do this altar for me because you got the message, girl. I told y'all I'm too immature for this. You wanna know what I thought? Does God poop? Like, do we poop in heaven? We're gonna eat. I hope we do. I don't know. Again, line across the, sorry. Holy Spirit, come back. Okay. I'm gonna make it plain one more time, and then we're gonna pray. And I want to sing I Know a Name again, just because that song is a cheat code, and it's like instant presence of God. You have to decide today, like Ezekiel did, to trust the Lord. Too many times, we seek the Lord to do a miracle in our life. Now listen, I'm not saying seeking the Lord for a miracle is bad. Let me finish. We seek the Lord to do a miracle in our life, but the miracle we're seeking is one of our own ambition. One that serves our purpose, our desires, our plans. Financial miracles, healing miracles, even salvation miracles. Those are great things and great things to seek the Lord for. I believe Jesus heals. I believe that miracles are for today. I believe he financially blesses. I've seen it. I don't think it's wrong to ask the Father for a miracle. In fact, I encourage it, but let me explain what I mean. Because in Proverbs chapter 14:12, it says there's a way that seems right to a man, but its way ends in destruction. Its end is the way of death. I may think I know what I want. I may think I know what God wants for me. We think we know what we need, so we beseech the Lord to grant it, when really we're just asking the Lord for what we want, and we try to manipulate it with specks of glory given to him. God, if you let me win the miracle, if you give me the miracle of winning the lottery, I'll help so many people. I have said that so many times. And I really do mean it, just in case you were wondering, God. God, if you just give me that man, I'll make sure he serves you. Listen, we don't date evangelistically. Okay? We don't date people to get them saved. And we don't get people saved so we can date them either. We get people saved because they're going to hell if they don't. And Jesus died on a cross for them. That's why we get them saved. Now, if he happens to be one of them ingredients the Lord has for you, have at it, sister. But God, if I have this better job, I'll be a happier person and in a better place to share the gospel with people. I've said that one too. I've never asked the Lord for a man, just in case anybody was wondering. that you may have to endure the struggle for a season. You may have to live life solo for a season. You may have to put up with that terrible job for a season. Just like Ezekiel had to lay on his side for a season. Just like how he had to eat poopy bread for a season. But when you trust in God, when you trust in his plan for your life, then and only then, listen, does he become the perfect bread that you need. Jesus said it himself in John 6, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. We must stop focusing on the poopy situations that fill us with so many confusing ingredients and start focusing on the one who is setting it up for his purpose and his perfect plan. Now, I told you, when you put all those ingredients together for Ezekiel bread, they come and they make a complete protein, a perfect bread to sustain life. Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Just like we looked at a cauldron versus a pot, a potion versus a gumbo, sometimes you just got to look at your poopy situation from a different perspective. You got to renew your mind so that you can see the bread of life at the end of it, and you can know what God's perfect will is for your life. The world complains about their situation, but the kingdom of God sees it as an opportunity to trust Jesus to be their perfect bread of life. Don't be like the world. Renew your mind. Live in the kingdom. Even if you're like me and it's the south side of the kingdom, and I will smack a saint if they get in my way. Nothing's going to stop the Lord from producing that perfect will in your life so long as you take those ingredients that you may not understand right now and you trust the process and you bake the bread. Bake the bread. Bake it.